Welcome to the Coach Glass podcast. Welcome to the next level. How's it going? Today we have a special guest and we're doing it video style. You're actually my first regular Coach Glass podcast guest that's going video. And there's a reason for that. Don't speak. Don't you say a word. There's a reason for it. It's because you're so goddamn handsome. We have one of my favorite people in the world, one of my top coaches. If I want a go-to guy and I'm like, what do I do about this athlete? I'm trying to make them stronger. I'm trying to make them faster. I'm trying to make them better. And I'm just hitting a wall. CT is my man, Corey Taylor, coach_C Taylor on Instagram. Welcome to the Coach Glass podcast.
Man, I'm so excited to be here with you today. Live, we're going back and forth. I'm loving this. So now thank you for having me. And I'm excited. So let's roll.
Yeah, well, like we said, we've been wanting to do this for a very long time, have you on the show. And every time I see you at a Perform Better event. Oh, by the way, this episode is brought to you by Perform Better, performbetter.com for all your soft goods, hard goods. Hey, anything you want that's good, you're going to get it at performbetter.com. Corey is a big fan, speaker for Perform Better. I am as well. All of our gyms are outfitted with Perform Better gear. And if you want some Perform Better gear, all you have to do is put glass 15 in the referral box and you get 15% off. It doesn't get much better than that. Corey Taylor, so excited to have you on the show. You work with NFL players. You've worked on the PGA Tour. You still work with tour pros. It's like the diversity of the athletes that you work with, and to be able to do it at such a high level. There's a lot of specialists out there, Corey, but you're one of those guys who can like just spread the wealth of your knowledge across many, many platforms. So maybe just give us a little breakdown on what you've been up to, like, what kind of athletes you're focusing on right now, what kind of things are getting you excited?
Well, I mean, right now I'm kind of, in the facility right now. I mean, obviously the tour guys are just, finishing up, my guy, a couple of guys I have on the Corn Ferry Tour, they're just finishing up. My NFL guys are in season. My MLB guys are just finishing up. So, you got a little bit of everything going on here. But as far as what I got going on, I'm excited about is this right now, my young athletes. I mean, we're killing it with the young athletes right now. And, training the pros is awesome. It's awesome, but it's easy compared to taking a young youth athlete, and developing them over the process. And, everybody wants to train the high level, pros and what have you, which, they have their perks, but I tell people all the time, you find out how good you really are when you can take the young kid, teach them how to skip, teach them how to jump rope, teach them motor skills, and teach them how to move. And those are the things for me that I feel like those are things I get excited about, because you really got to dial in. And especially when you got young kids, we start at 7 years old at our facility here. Yeah. I mean, you really got to dial in and keep their attention too in the process of getting them the next level of movement and from the training standpoint.
Yeah, I've got this new family that just joined in on my junior academy, and two boys, one's 14 and one's 9. Well, the 9-year-old looks like he's 6, like he's literally, and he acts like he's 6. Mm-hmm. So I want to check his birth certificate. I really think he is 6. But as soon as they walked in, and I had agreed to help them because I knew the family, and I was just like, I really want to help these kids, but they had never been in a gym in their whole life. And when I started the session, and they want to train together, so like you got this, post-pubescent kid, and then you got this little boy, and I was just like, what am I going to do? And I thought to myself, exactly like you just said, like, let's challenge ourselves here. Let's take this as an opportunity to really test your system out and make them earn the right to lift, earn the right to rotate, earn the right to get to the next level. And I was looking forward to that challenge. And I'll tell you what, we're only 2 months in, and it's taking me back to some of those fundamentals, and I'm just enjoying the process.
Right. And that's that point. It makes you that light bulb come on. Oh, I forgot this. Oh, I can do this. I can do that.
The simple stuff.
The simple stuff. And you're like, man, and you add that into the mix, and you're like, man, now this kid is really trying to really progressing. And and the program that you designed is working, So it's like, no, it's awesome to kind of dial it back, scale it back, and start using some of the old tricks, things that you use, and some things I know for myself, I've even forgotten because so high level with stuff, and then you're like, I'm gonna scale it back, and you're like, oh, this is really fun. It's all right.
You know what? Those things help you so much when you're working with the top athletes, because when you go back, you realize that there are some of your foundational movements and your foundational lifts that maybe you've overlooked because the athlete is so high level.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you take them back to those basics and you realize they actually maybe have some faults in their patterning.
Mm-hmm.
And then you clean that up and all of a sudden everything gets better. And you're like, you got to remember to go back to those foundations every once in a while. Like taking a world-class athlete and teach them how to jump rope. If they're not used to that, it's humbling. It's humbling. Yeah.
And it's great to see, like you said, you come back, you clean up some small things with an elite athlete or what have you. Then you see them really like take off to another level. And then sometimes I know in my mind, I'm like, well, can I take him any further? Can I do anything more?
Yeah. And then you just evolve.
Right. That's it.
You always do. You always find a way, or they have a new challenge. Like they come to you and say, oh, I want to gain 5 pounds. You're like, awesome. Fantastic. Because now we get to do some stuff that normally I wouldn't do with you as the athlete that you are in the sport that you're in. Mm-hmm. But now I get to go back to some of the things that we used to do when we played football. Like, I want to gain 5 pounds. Okay, well, here's how we do it. It's, here's a simple recipe. Let's apply that. And it's almost like, whew, thank God we don't have to be doing this high level stuff. We can go back to some basic lifts to put a little bit of meat on the bone. So it's exciting. It's exciting. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your coaching, because like whenever I have a coach on here, we start talking about fitness, but at the end of the day, anybody can write a program. Yeah. Anybody can, motivate a player to get an extra rep out. That's not what we do for a living. What we do for a living is inspire others to greatness, their personal greatness. And I think that the junior population, or the high school age kid, that is like your ultimate opportunity to mentor and kind of be a role model and change somebody's life.
Right.
So do you specify a certain time? Like, I have the last 5 minutes of every session, I sit the kids down and I usually have some topic, something that's going to be like, how to be a good person, how to respect others, how to respect yourself, I always have it's almost like a mini 5-minute podcast, if you will. Right. Do you like set time for your kids to have those moments, or do you just let it happen organically?
I let it happen organically, but I look for certain moments in a training session. I look for certain times when maybe they're not giving me what they have. I look for certain times when maybe they're just not there today. And then I call a timeout, I bring us together, and then we discuss our vision, our goals, having passion for what we're doing, and the purpose of why we're here. And we kind of talk about those things and we bring them together, because at that age, some of the kids don't even know. So you help them see that, you help them because they have sight, but then you got to help them with the vision, seeing the big picture. And it doesn't matter what level they're trying to get to. If they just want to be the best high school athlete or middle school or what have you, I'm not talking about kids trying to go to the next level of college or what have you, but having them see that and help them with that. And I find moments in a training session where things maybe not be going so well, and then it's a great time to interject, inspire, help them with their vision, and then the training level rises and the session is that much more dynamic. At the end, athletes feel like they've really accomplished something, or they got something great out of it, and we've touched somebody's life. And I tell my guys, you come in here, we get 1% better each day. Come in and get better at something. If it's a dynamic warm-up, if it's whatever one thing today that you take away from here that we can continue to build on when you come back the next time.
Yeah, and sometimes, and this is what makes a great coach. Sometimes your way of motivating them or inspiring them might involve you doing nothing, like taking away something, taking away the attention, taking away, almost like separating your love for that kid and making them earn it. And other times it's boosting them up and bringing them something that they didn't have. And I really feel like a good coach is that person who's tough when they need to be, and doesn't give in. And then there's the other day where they give them a break and make them feel like, you know what, it's okay to fail today. You know, we all fail, and maybe share a personal story about how when you failed. And then there's other days you're like, no, today's not that day. Like, you are going to get this thing done. And they're like, I can't, coach. And you're like, no, when
Today's
you
the day.
know that moment and you apply the right technique at the right time, and you do it like as long as we have, it seems like it's natural until you have a young coach watch and go, how did you know when to do that? How did you know how to do that? What to say? What was the right thing to do? And it's like, well, because we screwed up a lot for many, many years.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I tell my coaches all the time, I've screwed up a lot of people in the past.
a lot of kids in a good way,
Right.
I always say, if your intention is good, you know, like if you apply something, you apply a strategy and it doesn't work, but your intention was good,
right.
You know, and you learn from it, then you can't blame yourself. I mean, we're all human and we're all trying to learn. You can't always get the recipe perfect, but
no.
Man, sometimes when you do, it's special.
It's sexy. It's awesome.
Hey, you know what happened this week? Just a little sidebar, but it touches on what we're talking about here. I had a mentor of mine back in high school. It was my high school gym teacher, Mr. Fleming. We know him as Flash. And he's like 80 plus years old. I've been trying to reach him for 20 years because he really got me on the fitness path, and he got me on like being a coach. I saw him, I just wanted to be him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm watching that and I'm going, this is what started me on the path when I reflect back. So I wanted to reach out to him and speak to him and tell him, like, you know, what an influence he made and what a difference he made in my life as a young high school kid who was confused and trying to figure out the world. And he showed me that I could be a leader. He showed me I could be all these things. Well, out of the blue, someone just contacted me from high school and they go, hey, by the way, Coach is now on Facebook for the first time ever. Like, he just secluded himself for the longest time, but now he's reachable. So I reached out to him and we're actually starting conversation. He's over 80 years old and he's still the same guy. So I just think of, when I saw that, it inspired me because I thought of you and I. Can you imagine one day being 80 years old and one of our old students, one of those kids that we had that moment with, coming back and reaching out to us on whatever platform exists at that time? That's why we do what we do, man. It's like, to have that relationship with someone, that someone felt that special about what you did and how you changed their lives as a young adult when they were trying to figure out the world, and you made an impact on them. If you can do that just once, it's all been worthwhile.
It's all worth it. Just once, just that feeling of doing that. It's amazing.
And that's what Coach Vermeil talks about. Coach Vermeil
Right.
talks about that. He always says, like, there's like 3 players that just, you know, he'll have them over for Thanksgiving dinner, like now. And, you know, they used to play for the 49ers and stuff. And he just talks about some of these old players that will call him up every year on, you know, his birthday or something like that. And it's just like, man, that's special. And you don't do it for that reason, but that's the reward. That's the trophy.
That's the trophy.
All this.
No, 100%. That's the trophy right there. When you have someone that you've had, you know, for years, or you had a chance to touch their life, and then they come back, you know, years later, and they're so grateful, and they're just so that you were a part of their life, and you were a game changer, even though you didn't know that you were that big of a game changer at that time. For some, you know, that for them to come back and really be appreciative. As this done, it touches your soul, and it really does. It moves your soul. At least mine, it does.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Maybe for some young coaches that are out there, did you ever have any times, like, in your career, like, obviously when we started, we're young and we're like, well, you played football. We'll talk about that in a minute,
Yeah.
But you play football and then you're in the gym all the time. And you're like, hey, I could do this for a living. So you do. And then at some point you get to this point in your life where you're like, is this really a career, or is this just like, what do I do when I grow up?
Right. It's sort of a hobby.
Yeah. Did you have that moment? Can you share a story about, like, because young coaches, they always go like, I didn't know I could do this for the rest of my life until I met Coach Vermeil. And then I was like, oh, wait, you can be like passionate about this and have a career in this, right? Even in your like 70s, 80s, like, wow, I'm in.
Right. Yeah. You know, for me, my road, my journey to being a performance coach is a little different. And, you know, I kind of, if I could take it back, like I played football, obviously tried to make it in the NFL, played a little professional football, bounced around here and there from the CFL to NFL, NFL Europe, and, the Arena Football League. And I in 2001, I moved to Salt Lake City, and I tore my ACL. I was training, tore my ACL, and I moved out to Salt Lake City to rehab at the Institute for Sports Science and Medicine at TOSH, the Orthopedic Specialty Hospital. And I rehabbed my knee there. And while I was there, that's when I really got introduced to training, because it was at the training facility there, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to help train these kids? In between your downtime?" I was like, "Sure." I didn't know anything about the science, even though I did work at a facility where there's people that had many, many letters behind their names that was astronomical. You know what I mean? Like, wow. But anyhow, I just loved the energy. I loved training. And so after I went back and played ball, like whenever I got cut for a couple of teams, so I found a training facility and then kind of continued to learn. I was in Green Bay, and I blew my Achilles in Green Bay. So at the training facility in Green Bay, I became the marketing director. So I learned the marketing side of coaching. I learned a lot of different ways about how to be a trainer, if I'm going to be out on my own, or if I'm going to run a facility. And coming back to learning all these different facets of running a business, of being a coach, being a trainer. Like, I came back to Louisville. I was in the golf industry, was trying to figure that out. And I didn't really get things too figured out until I went to Perform Better Summit in Chicago. And I saw Todd Durkin present for the first time.
Yes.
And when I saw TD present, I get goosebumps now. it was like, that's it. That's where I want to go. And I stood in line and waited for Todd, waited for him to talk to me. stood in line. And finally he was like, "Yeah, you can join my mastermind." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, because I was stuck. I was at the crossroads. Like, okay, I played professional football, but I love the energy. I love training. And I was lost. I didn't know where to go. And when I saw him Perform Better, it touched me. And I was like, this is where I need to go. This is who I need to pattern myself after. This is who I need to follow. And after me connecting with TD, it was kind of like I took off from there. Along with Greg Rose, I got to throw Dr. Rose in there too, because Greg met me a couple of years before that, and he's like, "Corey," he's like, "you're going to do awesome in this industry." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "All right." He's like, "You're going to be awesome." And I was like, he saw something in me before I did. And, right. I needed somebody to believe in me. Dr. Rose believed in me. TD believed in me. And then from there, I just took that and I ran with it. So there was a crossroad where I was like, man, I don't know where I'm going with this. I keep spinning my wheels, and I was lost.
Wow. That is a different journey than most of us had to take, because of your professional career took you into those years where you question whether or not, being a coach, being a trainer is your life or not. I knew that I was always going to be in fitness, but it wasn't until you see some mentors of yours that you can really look at and go, oh, you can do this for a living. And it wasn't until you figure out that the commodities of life, the currencies that you work for, don't always have to be monetary. Because for a lot of coaches, and to be fair, we've been very fortunate and blessed to have a great career.
Right.
But for a lot of coaches, they make, just bare minimum of a wage, as far as, a life, like to be able to have a family and a career. And they have to earn their stripes. Well, it's tough, but that's if you only look at it as a monetary, job. Right. If you look at it as some of the perks that you get, like just being in the energy of the gym, being in a healthy environment where everybody's trying to get better, everybody's trying to push and improve themselves, and you have the personal relations that last lifetimes, where you get to see these people grow, and they help you grow as well.
Right.
That's where I feel like when you make that observation, or that you realize that the currency of money isn't the only thing you're working for, I think that's when you're all in for life.
Absolutely. Yeah, yesterday, day before yesterday, I was trying to get home and see the kids and hang out and everything with Amy and the kids and everybody. But then I was here, and our adults came in. We had some youth training, and I was talking to them, and we were joking around. And I was like, before I know it, the hour was up. I had my backpack on. I was trying to get out the door. But it was the lives of the people and the energy, and I was excited to see them because I haven't coached an adult class in a while. So seeing some of my adult clients here, and it was just like, the energy. It's like, all right, I need to go home to be a dad, but I really love my people. I really love what the environment that has been created over the years, and
so you created that culture. You created that culture.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
You created that. At my mentorship, I talk a lot about community and culture and how to be successful in this industry or any industry. Your success is based on the community that you build, and the community comes to you because of the culture you create. So if you're not creating culture, if you think you can open up a box and put equipment in it, and that's a gym, you're sadly mistaken.
No.
It's what you create, the energy you create, and then the principles that you stand by, the pillars of training that you adhere to, and the way that you interact with those other human beings that makes the culture. So without that, your facility is just a room with some weights in it.
Well, you'll be broke financially, and you'll be broke spiritually, because you don't understand why you don't have any money. And spiritually, your spirit's going to break because no one's inside your gym, and you don't understand why. So
that's right.
So you'll be broken, and I talk a lot about culture, because culture is the key. I gave a presentation about the revolving door, and how I had a revolving door in my facility for a long time, and I didn't understand why, because I didn't have this distinct culture. I had a training program, I had a piece of paper, I had a great idea, and but I didn't create anything that made people feel like, hey, I need to come to this place for 1 hour a day to get something that I can't get anywhere else. And I feel like I'm a part of something special. Everyone wants to feel like they're a part of something.
Make them feel like, something bigger than themselves.
Right. And you create that, and people will latch on. And that's what I didn't understand at first. I lost a lot of money in the beginning because I didn't understand that. Before, when I first started, it was like, that they weren't tough enough, or they weren't this enough. No, dummy. You didn't create something that made it special for them to continue to be with you.
Absolutely.
And so I learned that, and man, culture is king. It is, and for any young coach that's starting, or if you don't have the culture, you don't foster that energy in that community, and then you're just missing out.
So if I come into your facility, which I would love to do one day, and I'm sure we will, but if I come into your facility, give me what is my first experience of your culture? Is there specific things that you lay down the law as soon as I walk in the door? Like what is it that you bring that initially kind of makes me aware of what this place is and why it's different than somewhere else? What would be my first kind of experience?
So it depends. Are we an adult? Are we a young athlete? Are we a high level athlete? Because I give each one of them a different experience that comes together as a whole culture.
Right. So let's just say, because most of our listeners here are probably going to be coaching the general public.
Okay.
Let's say you got the middle-aged dad bod guy who's used to train in high school. He's had kids, but he hasn't trained forever, but still thinks that he's an athlete, but isn't. And wants to come in. He's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because he's really actually insecure about coming into the gym because he's not happy with himself.
Right.
That guy walks in your gym. What is it that he gets?
Well, he's going to get, for me, is why are you here? What are your goals? Like, I like to know so I want them to figure out their purpose. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then when they see on the wall, I said, today's might be a little tough for you. Okay. If you're in our adult class, but I need you to give me everything you have. We have a team here to support you. Everybody comes in, introducing themselves, and then we attack it together. And we're telling one thing: mindset's everything. Mindset is everything.
You should get shirts that say that.
I got shirts. I'm in the process of trademarking this.
You should. I'm just joking.
I'm being serious. No,
Okay, I know. But just for the sake of the people that are listening to this on audio, he's wearing a shirt that says "Mindset is everything." So I said you should get shirts like that. You're like, I did. Look at my shirt.
Look at my shirt. but coming in here, everybody's gonna introduce themselves to you. You know, you're gonna feel like you're not gonna feel like a stranger or outsider. And we always at the end we break it down, or I talk, you know, and I talk about, you know, this why we're here and how you can't push yourself to the level that we push ourselves today on your own. That's why it's important that we come together. That's why we hold each other accountable here. That's why if you don't show up in a couple of days, someone will call you out on Facebook. I kind of created a culture where like, where you been? Where are you? Because, you know, it's easy to fall off the wagon. You know what I mean? And so therefore, I've created a culture here where our own clients hold each other accountable. And that's that family and that team atmosphere. You know, I played on a lot of teams, and I'm a firm believer in the power of the team. And that's why our Instagram is Team CTSP, because it's a team that everybody has to do their role and have their part for us to be successful here. And I have a lady here, I call her Mama Bear. Mama Bear is always the person that introduces herself to everybody and kind of makes everybody feel like, you know, comfortable the first time. Because
perfect.
You know, I kind of got a reputation in this area where like you go to train at CTSP, it's pretty tough over there. I don't know if you really want that, you know. So I kind of try to soften that a little bit to let people know that no, this place is for everybody. Yeah, you might see the highlights of the hardcore guys, you know, pull ups with chains and you know and high level guys doing this, but really at the end of the day, you know, we're a community for everyone. We have something to offer everyone. So
see that's where I went with my gym. At first, it was only high level because I was coming from the pros and then going, okay, I'd only want the most elite athletes. Like, and I was the Canadian national team strength coach. So I was like, I only want my Team Canada kids. I want the best in the province. I want the college kids that are champions. And I set this bar of who could come and work. And I thought that was right when this was probably about, I don't know, 10 years ago. Right. I thought this was right. But then I realized, no, it was actually a lot of those people, they had, they felt like they deserved everything for free because of my name, or I deserve special treatment. I want my own special time. I want my own, and their parents would be like, well, they didn't play well this weekend. So what are you going to do about, like, it became a nightmare.
Right.
And then I realized, the young kids that actually need your help, the ones that are a little bit shy, the ones that are uncoordinated and not strong, and they can't skip without, you know, tripping over their feet.
Right.
When I started working with those kids, I'm like, oh, no. These are the kids that actually need you. I always say in your facility, your best coach should be working with the beginners, not the top athletes.
Right.
They should work with the top athletes, but they should also work with the beginners, because the beginners need the best coaching, the best cues, the best eye. Mm-hmm. The rest of it's easy. So we changed our platform, and we started saying, we want to make us accessible to everybody. And by doing that, guess what? Our business went up, because now we're touching a bigger base. There's way more people that are beginners than the elite. The elite are like 3% of your community.
Right.
We wanted to hit the 97%. And guess what? The 3% still came.
Right.
So to all you young coaches out there who want to work in the pros, you want to work with the best, like, excuse my language, chill the fuck out for a minute.
Right.
And start to get real with your community and get back to the basics, because those are the people that are really going to, at the end, remember we said about that currency of culture and community, those people are going to be your community, and they're going to stick by you. The top, they're always like, oh, I need that didn't work. I'm going to go to the coach next door. And then they go, oh, we've already been to 4 other coaches before coming to you. It's like, what? The kid's 16. How did you have 4 coaches before me? It's unbelievable.
That's 1,000% right there, man. That you can't be as real as you just were, because yeah, I've been one of those skip around coaches that they land in your lap and hoping that you're going to be the savior of of the guy that couldn't, the last 2 who couldn't get them together, or I'll have a player fly in from, I've been trained with this person, but I saw you and I want to hear and see what you can do. Like, well, all right, man, let's go.
You know what? With those people, I always try and push them away. And by pushing them away, I'll say this. I'll say, if you've been with those other coaches, by the way, they're fantastic coaches. So right off the bat, I'm not going to put them down. They're great coaches. But what you're going to get here is, unfortunately, we're going to have to go backwards and see what holes weren't filled. So it might seem really easy and basic at first, but we're not going to leave a stone unturned. So my workouts might seem easier. They might seem less complex, but we're going to get to the bottom of it, and you're just going to have to trust the process. If not, then I'm not your guy.
No.
So,
and a lot of them won't want to do that. They don't want to do that.
Right.
They don't want to do
and that's
that.
fine. Then they're not my guy, because I'm not going to try and pump my own ego up by taking a big player and try and wow them with something that they've already fallen short in every other coach, because that's what was done. Mm-hmm. So it's like, no, are we going to start at the foundation? And who knows? The foundation we might be able to get through it in a month, but we are going to find some holes, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. So I started with a player just recently, funnily enough, online, a PGA Tour player. Never met him actually physically in person. Through COVID, we've been working together, and he's been with everybody. And I made it very clear. I'm like, you know what? He goes, do you have a contract or anything? I go, here's my contract. I know I can't shake your hand right now, but here's my contract. And he's like, really? And he goes, I don't have to sign it for a year or something like that. I said, well, if it's not working, I don't want you to stick around because we have a contract. I want you to be happy. So I'm going to do what I believe is best. And I know that if you do the work, we're going to get somewhere. So let's just go on this journey. And if at any time you're not happy, then that's okay. He's like, wait a sec. Everybody else always wanted, like, for me to do an Instagram post for them, sign a contract for a year, right, give them all this stuff. And I was right, like, well, that'd be great, but let's get started first. And the guy said, this is so refreshing. So, but that's because you and I are coaches. Like, right, that guy's not going to make or break you, no, but you want to do it right. So
you got to do it the right way. You got to do it the right way. And I've never had a pro athlete sign a contract. I don't know. Maybe you have. I ain't never had anybody sign it. Either you want to be with me or you don't. You know what I mean? Excuse my language. The shit ain't working. It ain't working. Excuse my language. But if you don't want to be with me, then there's other people out there. So I would never hold anybody to a contract. But I understand how other people work. That's guaranteed money. You sign a contract, it's guaranteed money. And if your program fails, you got paid. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, okay.
On to the next.
I see. Yeah, but you can only do that for so long, right?
Yes. It's kind of like a marriage. It's like a marriage. In a marriage, you have a contract, but a successful marriage isn't because of that contract. Right. It's because of the actions that you take every single day and what you do day in, day out, that makes it a success or not. So the same thing goes in with your athletes. I've always said this, and people get angry with me, but I always say that I go into every session with the acceptance that I could get fired today. Mm-hmm. And people go, what? That's such a pessimistic way of looking at your job. And I go, no, because I'm going to do what I think is right. And I'm going to say what I think is needed to be said, even at the risk of being fired, if I truly believe that it's the right thing. And right, it might piss you off, right, but I'm going to say what I believe. And if I get fired doing that, I'm going to be okay with that. And they're like, Jay, that's a weird way of thinking of the world. I'm like, well, otherwise, if I'm trying to hold on to you, like let's say in a relationship, you try to hold on so hard, you're going to suffocate them. So I'm just like, let's be free, mm-hmm, and coach the way you think you should be coaching. Now, to be fair, nobody, knock on wood, has fired me in those sessions. But if they do, I'm okay.
I've been fired. I've been fired before.
Well, I've been fired before, but not by taking that approach.
I've been fired as TPC Sawgrass. No, serious business. I've been fired on the tour.
at the event.
At the event. No, seriously, I've been fired. That's the last event I've worked.
Wow.
TPC called Sawgrass. I got fired by Pat Perez, and I've never went back on the tour after that.
Wow. Yeah. You know what? That's not I'm realizing for the strength coach, that is not a great environment. Like I do most of my training off site,
Right.
because when you're on site, like at the course,
Yeah.
the medical teams are awesome. They're fantastic. They
Yes.
do their work and they make the player feel ready to go play. But for us, I always felt like I should be doing something. So like, you're paying me to be here, so
Right.
I have to do something. So I was trying to force them in the gym, trying to force a great workout, trying to force a after the round.
A recovery thing. You're trying to force.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, trying to make myself feel valuable. And then they're like, Jay, like if you weren't here, I'd be back at the hotel having a nap. And now I'm worn out. And I was like, so I realized like, oh, they're happy with us just being there.
Right.
We don't have to actually perform every minute of the day, like every time I see them. So I'd be walking down the fairway and I'd be saying to them like, how's your hydration? How much have you eaten up to this point? And they're like,
Dude.
I don't know. I'm just at a practice round. Like, relax.
No, that's hilarious. 'Cause that's exactly how I was out there. And they're like, dude, chill out. I'm like, no, I need to make sure, I'm on the caddy. I make sure, hey, at the turn, he has to have this, he has to have this. And they're like, I'm like, no, man, this is what we got. Yeah.
I still bug the caddies about that.
I did probably a lot more harm than good because I probably caused some more anxiety. But I need to be ready. You got to be ready. But that's our job, right? That's our job.
Well, you think that's our job, and it is. Like I just always feel like one of my mantras is dream big, over deliver is the key, and be undeniable. Well, the over deliver part, what I'm slowly starting to realize is that over delivering for a PGA Tour player at an event can sometimes just be available for them when they need you.
Right.
You don't have to force them into a warm up every single morning. And now, if you create a culture with some of my athletes, I've created a culture where they know they're like, they'll even say this. Here's a good one for you. Here, okay, Corey, you're in my shoes now. Okay.
All right.
I'm the player. You're the coach. Hey, Jay, tomorrow morning, I've got an early tee time. So I'm going to be warming up at 5:30 a.m. You don't need to come. Like, I don't want you to get up for it because I'm just doing a quick warm up and then I'm going to have breakfast and then get to the tee box. So I'll just see you at some point whenever you're around. What do?
You get up.
Yeah, you're there at 5:30. Right?
Get up. You get up.
I'm like, this is a test.
Right. You get
up. It's a test. I'm up. I'm up.
I'm there. It's a trailer. I'm there.
Yes, of course you are. And I know other guys are like, oh, great, I had the morning off. He had an early tee time. I'm like, what? So, but then they come to you at 5:30 in the morning. They look at you like, you didn't have to be here, And I go, I know.
Right.
So then I just step back a little bit because I'm like, maybe they want just their own time. So I step back a little bit, but I'm there. They know you're there.
Right.
And it means something that you're there. And I'm like, well, what else am I going to do you flew me to this event to be here. Right. I'm going to show up. What am I going to do? Sleep in, have a nice breakfast by myself, and then get there leisurely at noon?
Just catch your back nine.
No, I'm here to work.
We're here to work.
I'm here to work. Oh, man. So how have you been over this whole the COVID thing? Did you have to shut down your gym and everything for a bit?
Yeah, we had to shut down for about 6-7 weeks. We shut down, and it's rough. I'll be honest, it's been a rough patch here. I lost my head performance coach. I lost my second in command coach. She left.
How'd you lose them?
Well, I had to let my head performance coach go. He was breaking his contract training on the side.
Oh, okay.
So I had to let him go. And he's been with me for like 9 years, for a long time. And then my other coach, she usually this doesn't happen, but she started dating one of our former pro athletes, and now they moved together in Charlotte. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina. So
well, good for them.
Yeah.
Nice
so they're happy as anything. So they're both.
Yeah, it sucks for business, but good for them, right?
Right. So so for me, I've kind of had to hire some new young pups in here. Really now I'm back really in the trenches coaching a lot more because, I can't let our culture die and change because I have some new coaches in here. So I've been back in here coaching a lot more, letting them see me in action and let them be able to ask as many questions or take as many notes, and or kind of show me, hey, this is what I have for today. What do you think? And it's actually, it's been refreshing. It's been great to kind of revitalize the business, and I've been kind of excited about it, and not kind of, I am excited about it. And so since the COVID thing, it was just tough for a little while, but I did take advantage of whatever the government had out there. But for me, I'm not an online guy. You know what I mean? And maybe I need to get out of that. Corey, you're not an online guy, because we don't know what tomorrow brings. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I understand that. I mean,
you're great online, by the way. You're great online.
Thank you.
Right? No, but
no, I am
honestly,
great. I am great online. I think I can do a lot of things online, but
it's not gonna be the same.
I like that. I like that interaction. I do. I really like to be able to see the eyes of the client. I like to see the eyes of the athlete. I like to kind of see their body language, and and so therefore you can kind of gauge how that workout really needs to change throughout the process, or put the pedal down a little bit more and let's go. So that's so yeah, I mean, I can imagine being closed. I mean, like, the Cos girls, I mean, they've been closed, what, 7-8 months going on now.
Yeah. Yep. But think about this for a minute. I know this is what we have to do now. And we also have to train our athletes and our staff. The same thing is that we can't wait for a change. We can't wait. We have to accept that what's going on right now this is what it is. And what at its worst, when we were closed, it could easily be that again. So we have to prepare for that again. So yes, it's not the same training online. And my athletes know that it's not the same. But we're making the new version of the best version of that, which is like they'd rather be in your gym in person, and you are better in person, but you're also great on Zoom calls. You are right now. You're still like, I wish I was sitting in front of you right now. We could, hang out. I wish I could give you a big brotherly hug and like we normally would, and just say, great to see you, brother. But we can't. Right. So this now is the new, as good as it's going to get. So I have to accept that that's what it is. So with my athletes, I say to them, I go, look, I can't, it's different than you even. I can't even cross the border. So even if I wanted to fly somewhere, I can't. So they know that. And hopefully they're going to stick it out for as long as we can. But they just know it's not the same. It's not as good, but we're doing our best.
Right.
So you have to embrace the fact, Corey, that you are awesome in this. It's not the same, but you're still awesome. They can't take away Corey from your training, whether it's Zoom call, in person, or even a phone call. They can't take that away.
Hey, I needed to hear that, bro. I needed to hear that. And I'm grateful and very thankful that you gave me that, because, as much as success I've had in this industry, I was feeling some type of way about that, and you kind of gave me a little bit of, I needed that right on time.
Well,
bro.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. Well, that's why we have to do these calls. And you know what? You called me the other day and we were just bullshitting for a while. And I wish I recorded that conversation, because it was a great conversation. Yeah. But yeah, you know what? It's like, I'm finding we really need to do more of this, and that's one of the blessings of COVID, is that it's been able to create these opportunities to chat. I used to wait till Perform Better to see you. And I would always look on the sheet and say, is he going to be in Chicago this year? Or is he going to be in Long Beach this year? Wherever I happened to be performing that year. And we'd always just run into each other in that crazy, like where all the rooms would let out by the Perform Better desk. Yeah, it's like that area. And it's always like 75,000 people just, it's crazy. But hey, man, this is what it is. So we're making the most of what it is. And just like I said, when I, prepare myself to be fired every day, I've accepted that this is what it is. And my wife goes, "Hun, how can you say that?" Like, I go, it might not ever change. We might just be like living like this forever. We might have to wear a mask everywhere we go forever. And she's just like, "Oh no, I'd hate to think that way." And I'm like, that's the only way I can think. Because I can't live a life where I'm waiting for something to end. I have to be present and then just experience what I'm in right now. And it's not always easy, but I try to keep that mindset.
Right. And you got to make the most of what you have right now, and I understand that, and that's where we are. This is what we have, and you got to make the most. I'm just very lucky to be open, to be back open, and be able to run the facility, and and be able to do this. But if something happens again, I am prepared for us to go different.
So you're not going to just become an accountant.
No. That ship has sailed, man. That ain't me. So. But
okay, actually, that brings up a good point. I want to finish strong, but I want to finish with a little bit of business stuff. Have you ever taken your personal inventory as a business person? Obviously, you're a fantastic coach, and when you work with your athletes, that's when you are at your best. That is like the true essence of who you are. But there's other aspects to being a business owner, and trying to create your social media and trying to be out there in the world, and all the things that come along with being a coach nowadays.
Right.
Did you take a personal inventory, find out where some of your weaknesses are? It sounds like you've done a great job with your staff, finding mama bear and stuff like that, people to help create some of maybe the holes, or maybe you just can't spread yourselves thin. Have you ever done that? Like I'm not great at accounting, so I had to find an accountant. I'm not great at, organization and scheduling, so I had to find someone that could help assist me with that kind of. What were some of the weak points that you filled, and how did you go about doing that?
You just heard it, accounting.
Yeah.
Terrible. Wasn't the greatest. I used to have a client that I used to train, and he's passed away, and cancer got him, but God rest his soul. But he would always be like, Corey, he's a billionaire. He was a multi-millionaire. And he's like, Corey, you got to know your numbers. You got to know your numbers. And I'm like, man, I know how to design this program with these numbers, reps and sets numbers. That's what I need to know how to do. But he was right. He was like, to know your numbers. He goes, he'd be like, how much did you make this month? And I'd be like, no, I kind of make up some numbers. And after a while, I was like, man, I don't really know what I made this month. I know the bills are paid. I know I got some money in my pocket. But learning the ins and outs of the business. And I needed somebody, a great general manager. She's been here with us here. She had to deal with some breast cancer things, so she hasn't been involved as much, but she kind of set the table and set the tone for things that I needed to do, take on a little bit more role, but things I didn't know before. I didn't know how to do so many things. I didn't know how to do I didn't know how to do payroll. I just knew, I didn't know how to do a lot of things, so, kind of set the table, and like, she's always like, you need to know how to do the things in your business. You don't have to always do them, but you got to know how to do these things for your business. I struggled with the accounting. I struggled with, time management sometime of, giving a little too much over here. Then I had to run back over here. And then, I struggled with a lot of those things, and finding those people to fill those areas that do things better than what you do. I just think it's what it is. That's how you build a team, right? Everybody has a role. Everybody has a responsibility, and to find people around you who do things better than what you do, and that's what I've found, being able to do that. It
feels vulnerable to do that, to give up,
right?
Because I like to be a control freak, and I want to control everything from my editing to my design to my logos to like everything. I try and create it all. But my bookkeeper, sweet lady Susan Jones, she says to me one day, like, I felt bad that I wasn't very good at it. So I'd hand her like sheepishly, like, here you go, here's my books,
Right.
And she would go, okay, well, you need to do this. You need to do this. This needs to get better. You need to do this. And I said, I'm so sorry. Like, I really feel bad about doing this. And she goes, oh, no. This is what I do. I'm good at this. Mm-hmm. You go do what you're good at. And it just took this huge weight off my shoulders. I was like, oh, she gave me the permission to just be a coach. And she goes, I'll take care of this because I'm good at this.
Right.
So you go do your thing and be great at it. And then I'll do this, and I'll do a great job of this. And I was like, oh, you're my bookkeeper for life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that. And that's the same person for me. Like, Jacinda Sipes is are here, and she got me together more times than not. And hell, I was at CanFit Pro, and I thought my presentation. She came with me to CanFit Pro, She came for pro, and I was presenting, but I thought my session was one time, and she goes, I'm just gonna go down and check this in case. And my phone rings. She's like, the line's pretty long here, and you're supposed to go on in 10 minutes. I was like, what? So I'm like, you know how the hotel is came for pro, and then man, the convention is like way. So like, oh man, if it wasn't for having the right people to get me together, that could have been a major fail. Even though I killed that presentation at CanFit Pro.
I'm sure you did. But, can you believe that I've never done a CanFit Pro?
What?
And I'm from Canada. I know they never accepted me.
No way. Are you serious?
And I was like, yeah, I submitted. Now it was years ago, but I submitted numerous times and never got accepted. So and I even sent them like tapes from like World Golf Fitness Summit or Perform Better talks and stuff like that. And they're like, no. We're good. And I'm like, all right.
Well, I haven't gotten back in since I presented there 3 years ago.
Oh, so you did too good of a job.
I mean, I had somebody make their IG profile me, and I thought that's a pretty show. I thought that was a pretty good indicator that I did solid. A good job, and they've denied me. It's crazy. It's funny. Is. Yeah, they didn't.
Well, we're not going to give them any more energy then right now on this podcast if they're not going to. We'll send our energy to Perform Better, performbetter.com.
Perform Better, absolutely. Perform Better takes care of us.
Oh my God, they're salt of the earth. Chris Poirier and Aaron McGurr and the rest of the crew are they're unbelievable.
Milani.
Oh my God, everybody is just unbelievable. It's a family. Now that's a culture and a community right there.
Right.
Those are people who really they don't just put on a show, but they care about the presenters, but more importantly, they care about every person that comes to those seminars or those conferences. So.
And I got to give a shout out to Chris Poirier, because Chris and I had a conversation, when a lot of this Black Lives Matter, a lot of things are going on, like I'm one of the few, you don't see a lot of Black presenters on the Perform Better circuit or presenter circuit at all. And I didn't mean to kind of touch on that, I know, but I was just grateful for him giving me the opportunity to be able to touch so many lives and on a platform to where not a lot of people look like me, and they don't. And I told him that I was grateful for the opportunity, and that carrying that torch and something that I take responsibility for, and that a lot of people from I'm trying to get my words twisted up, but a lot of the audience who are of color come to me and like, man, we never see anybody like you, many Black presenters on the circuit. And I just wanted to give Chris a shout out for like allowing me to be me, allowing me for the opportunity and to be able to, whatever it is, trailblazer, carry the torch, whatever it is, because I love it. And I'm just very grateful for the opportunities that Perform Better and Chris has given me.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, he's the salt of the earth, but there's a little bit of my personal ignorance that I've never noticed that. I've never noticed it. It's always been we need more women presenters. That was a thing for years. That there was a lot of people were saying there weren't enough women presenting at the conference. But I've never heard that.
Think about it. You got me, Milo, and TA, Trevor Anderson. That's all you got.
That's true.
Unless you got somebody else that who else you got at the high level? Milo, myself, and Trevor. TA, who else do you have?
That's true. That's what I'm saying is I've never even thought of that before, and maybe that's my own ignorance. But I never even thought of that. So it is awesome that Chris is obviously aware, and but also. There's also not a lot of coaches with hair. So like if we would take another 10 minutes just to go down the list of bald strength coaches at Perform Better. So hey, I'll tell you what, we always finish these podcasts with I always say dream big, over deliver, and be undeniable. But when I have a guest like you on, I always want to give you the opportunity to share. You can share all three if you want, but when you think about your dream big is something that you're working towards. And I like a dream big to be almost like so big that you get goosebumps on your arm just thinking about it coming true. Over deliver is an experience that you take from your past of when you over delivered on something that you could have just, mailed it in, but you over delivered, and maybe what came out of that by over delivering. And then the last one is undeniability, which is sometimes when maybe, you were put in a position where you should fail and you just decided to be undeniable and you fought through it. Or maybe it's a client story. If there's any of those that just resonated, like right now, if something popped in your head and it resonated with you on dream big, over deliver, be undeniable, maybe you could share with us maybe a personal story on one of those topics.
I mean, I started this company on a credit card. I maxed out this company on a credit card with a brand new newborn and a wife that supported me and believed in what my vision was. And through adversity comes strength. That's on our wall here. And I'm a big believer about adversity. My mom had me at 16, lived on public housing and for a while, and lived in, government funding for a while. And, I'm not really supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be a statistic, you know what I mean? And the successes that I've had, I use a lot of the adversity as a chip on my shoulder to help me fuel the energy there's a lot of people who look at me like are watching me, and I feel like I have a responsibility that I can't fail. I got to continue to raise my game. And the bar is set so high that failure is not an option. And, a lot of people have a lot of fears. And I used my fear as a way to drive me. I had a fear of failure, not a fear of having success, but I had a fear of failure. And, a lot of people have fear on the other way. Once they get some success, they don't know how to handle that. And it kind of freaks them out and they kind of implode. But for me, I want to be one of the best in this industry. Now, I don't have that many followers on Instagram. I only have like 2,800 or whatever it is. And so some people might see me like,
you're
not a big influencer in this industry or what have you. But I have been given the opportunity to go out and make things happen and touch people's lives, inspire them. Because at the end of the day, if you look at Corey Taylor's past, and my journey is definitely the road less traveled. But here I am today. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity you give me, bro, to be on here with you, to share my knowledge and a little bit that I have here and the energy that I have, and just to let people know that it doesn't matter where you come from or how you get there, but once you arrive, make the most of the opportunity that you've been given, and make sure you pass that on to somebody else and give somebody else an opportunity to have opportunity to have success as well. So I just think that's just, if I can give you anything, that's what I'd like to share to the people on here, is that adversity comes strength. And if you use that energy, nothing will stop you.
Well, you always have a home here. Always, like in my heart, but also on this podcast. You are the example of over delivering today. You got to come back and be on the show again, because us just talking coaching and just talking life, like we did the other day on the phone as well. I really don't care if anybody watches, listens, or anything. This podcast has never been about that. It's always been about the few people that do, that it makes a difference to them if we can touch somebody in that way. And I think this episode is going to touch a lot of people from different places in their career and different places in their life. And some people are going to take a little bit from one segment of this conversation, and other people are going to take depth from another part of the conversation, but it will reach the right person, and you will make a difference in their life from the conversation and just the stories you shared here today. So, Corey, I want to thank you for that. And we're going to start a regular conversation on the outside as well, because, man, I got off the phone the other day when I was talking to you, and I just said to my wife, like, she's like, what got into you today? Why are you so happy? And like, I'm always happy, but I was extra happy. And I was like, I was talking to my friend Corey, and she goes, you never talked about him before. Like, and I'm like, well, we haven't actually talked on the phone like that before. And I go, well, I don't know why. because I enjoyed it so much. And I said, she goes, well, then you just need to do it more often. Because if he's going to make you happy to have that conversation with him, then you got to call that guy more often. I'm like, I totally agree. So we are going to continue that. We'll catch up every once in a while, every month or whatever it happens to be. But I want to stay in touch because you inspire me to be a good coach and just be a good person. So what you're doing for your athletes, you're doing for me as well, my friend.
Well, I really appreciate that. And you kind of got me for a minute. It's like just giving the energy, and this, you allow me to be, to be on this platform and to share. I love it, and I'm just very grateful. And I love you, brother. And I just want to, like I said, let's keep the dialogue going. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to continue to share nuggets and be able to inspire each other. Like you got my mind right, on the segment with, doing the online and doing those things. And, you're absolutely right. So with that, definitely about that.
Awesome, my friend. Again, once we get this out there, I'm sure there's going to be listeners who are going to want to hear more from Corey Taylor. That is Coach_C Taylor on Instagram. Follow Coach_C Taylor and make sure you get out there and check out his Instagram. And you also have your actual facility for those of you who want to be inspired on how to run a facility and how to create culture in your facility. What is your Instagram for your facility as well?
Yeah, it's at Team TEAM CTSP. CTSP stands for Corey Taylor Sports Performance. Yeah, Team CTSP. And then if you're looking for some movement drills, I do have my digital download footwork. I thought I'd plug that in there just in case.
Awesome.
People are like, hey, do you have anything? Yeah, I got some. So that's on my Coach_C Taylor. You can just download that, and it's kind of 16 of my favorite moving patterns, drills that you can add into your program that you probably already have going on. So
we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. Yeah,
it's in there. Yeah,
awesome. All right, CT, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I can't wait to have you back on the show in the future. Dream big, over deliver, be undeniable, and cheers, everybody. You're supposed to say cheers now.
Cheers.
There you go. Awesome.